I started posting a thread every day, and that was back in January of last year. What I found out is people wanted to hear what I was thinking. And so I quickly went from 5,000 to 10,000 to 50,000. I grew 40,000 followers in the month of March last year.
I went back in your tweet history and I looked back at your first tweet ever on this account, which was August 16th, 2021. And it says, "What you do today will be a part of the story you tell in 10 years." So I'm curious, how do you define the word legacy and how does someone create a meaningful one?
Yeah, that's super interesting. That was my first tweet. I remember sitting on the couch, thinking through how I was going to launch this account and not having any idea what I was going to do. And that's a story that we could probably tell later. But in terms of legacy, a big thing, and I wrestle with this word a lot. I believe in generational intelligence and seeking and gleaning knowledge from the people around us, both older and younger, and defining words based on life experiences. And so when I think about legacy, I think about impact. I think about my children a lot. I think about you, Greg. I think about the people that we interact with on a daily basis. And so legacy to me is the moments and the memories and the truths that we leave behind on the people that we interact with on a daily basis. That could be done a lot of ways. It could be done simply through a conversation like we're having right now. It could be done in written form like I do every day on Twitter. It could be done through this, just like we're doing on this podcast, but it's the intentionality of really providing an impact, like a societal impact and an individual impact on people. And so, one thing my father taught me at a very young age is that intelligence isn't the answer. He valued education quite a lot and thought through that, and instilled that to me at a young age. But what he instilled to me more is work ethic and integrity. And to me, legacy means showing up on a daily basis and really providing that value to the world. It's a simple, I think a lot of people try to complicate it. We think about it in terms of possession or money or the things that we leave behind from a physical touch standpoint, the houses, the cars, the trust funds. To me, legacy is if in 10 generations the lessons and stories and values that I instilled in the people around me and my children are still being instilled, then I left a legacy. It has nothing to do with the amount of money I made. It has nothing to do with the how big my Twitter account gets. It has everything to do with the impact that I have on my family and my community.
So it's kind of that day-to-day impact that you're making, and that kind of builds up and it compounds over the course of your life. And I wonder, like, if someone doesn't feel like they're really making a big impact, is it ever too late to start building your legacy? Like, at what point in your life does it become like it just is what it is and you are who you are? Or can anybody change on a dime and start to impact people?
I have a two-part answer to that. I think number one, I think we drastically underestimate our impact on our environment around us. I'll give you a story. I was leading a team of about 13 people, and on my way out, we had a lunch. Okay, I had people that I had been leading for years, and they did this thing where they went around the table and just said that they were thankful for me and kind of gave me an insight or a parting word or a favorite memory. Got to this one worker that had been working for me for about 4 months at that point. I had very little interaction with this person that I thought and saw them every day, but didn't think anything other because they weren't a direct report to me. She said something that almost made me, I mean, I started tearing up. I'm not a big crier, Greg. I don't cry a lot, but she said, every day I look forward to you coming in because you brought light to the room and you impacted my day in a way that because everything seemed mundane. And when you came in, it flipped a switch and I looked forward to it every day. Now, I had no idea I was doing that. I was just being myself. And so I think a lot of people underestimate the impact they have on the environment. But as far as those that truly believe they're not leaving a legacy, it's never too late. Taking account of your life, writing down exactly where you want to be, what you want to be remembered for, and the areas of life that you want to impact, and then taking daily action towards that. If you want to impact a certain group of people, if you want to impact a certain subject matter, like diving deep and just it's all about community, man. It's the interaction, it's building, and it's being authentically you and letting others feel comfortable being themselves around you. That's a To me, that's one of the biggest lessons of leaving an impact. It's letting others be comfortable being themselves when they're interacting with you, and they don't feel like they have to do anything else that except be themselves.
You shared a poem in a Twitter space one time. It's called Attitude by Charles Swindoll. And I'm just going to read it real quick for the audience. It goes, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think, say, or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that's our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes." What does this poem mean to you, and how does it impact your legacy?
Yeah, so I played college football. Started for 3 years at center. Played with a lot of really good guys, and that was a poem that was read to us by our coach when we first entered in. So I was just turned 18 years old. Had no idea what I was doing. Sat down on the floor of a room in rural Alabama, and he read that out. And my childhood wasn't the easiest, and I went through a lot of it with a poor attitude. And when he read that, he didn't only read it; he reinforced it every day. 4 years of playing on that team, there was real AIE, attitude is everything, was a mantra that we lived by. Not only on the field, but in the classroom, in our community, and the friendships that we created. And it made me realize that no matter what happened to me, no matter what, I also apply this to business now, to my family, that the only thing I could control is my attitude. And in terms of legacy and what that means to me, is it means uh, all of us are going to have a bad out. I mean, we're all going to fall, fail, meet resistance, especially when we're in great pursuit of something. And the only thing we can control is the attitude in which we give. And so when bad things happen, I choose to be positive. Now I'm a realist. I understand that bad things are happening, but I choose to control my attitude and the variables in front of me. And so when it comes to legacy, a legacy is truly built through adversity. Um, Anybody can be great when things are easy. Anybody can do the things that are necessary when all the stars are lining up. The truly amazing people, the people that leave the biggest legacies, are the ones that face the most adversity, but still decide to be positive and put in the work every day. And that's the type of person I want to be, my children to be. Greg, that's the type of person I want you to be. I mean, when we think about the concept of meeting adversity as a friend, as an ally, because we know that that adversity is going to get us to the level in which we're pursuing, that's when everything changes. That's when our mindset changes. That's when our outcomes change. That's when everything we set before all our goals open up before us.
You know, someone that's played a massive role in my life is Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've ever come across any of his work. He wrote this book, The Power of Now, which changed my life probably 10 years ago. And there's a few major concepts in it. One of them is this idea that you're not your thoughts, and that there's this gap of awareness between who you are and what your thoughts are, and that you can kind of be the watcher of your thoughts. And combining that with this idea of like radical acceptance of every moment, and how that impacts my attitude on a day to day is like things come up. I mean, life is suffering, life is failure. All of these things have to happen. Like I was just listening to an Eric Thomas seminar, and he was talking about how, you know, not every day is sunny. You need rain for things to grow, and that you can't look at the downtimes as, you know, negatives and failures. It's just a part of life, and that's the only way that you can sprout and have new ideas and new growth. And so when I run into these things in day to day life that it makes me feel some kind of way, I am able to instantly reframe it and know that my thoughts and my emotions are not me, and that you know, there's this empowerment that I get from the control of your mind. If you can't control your thoughts and you can't control your mind, and therefore your attitude, the way you treat people, the way you show up, I mean, you really don't have much, because that is, you know, what you're putting out is what you're going to get back.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the thing about it is, everything flows through that. Our our reaction is everything in situations like that. So, when I think of legacy, when people, I want to be intentional with my reactions, right? So, I take extreme ownership of my life. A book that molded me a lot is Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. I take that approach in leadership, in marriage, when I'm parenting my children. And the thing is, when adversity hits, uh, when when bad times happen, I know that the people around me are looking at me. They're looking at me to see, what is he going to do? Is he going to spiral out of control? Is he going to meet it head on and handle it? Is he going to take ownership in the fact that it's his fault? Is he going to blame others? And time again, I always take ownership, even when it's not my fault sometimes, because I know that if I'm leading a charge, if I'm doing something, if it's happening in my family, that at the end of the day, that responsibility falls on me. And if I'm taking ownership in that, my kids are going to take ownership. My wife's going to take ownership. My friends are going to take ownership. And it's that accountability that multiplies over time, right? It's that it all that multiplies over time because we're putting it out into the world. And that's the most beautiful thing of it all. Like when you think about legacies, it's not just about creating your own, it's about being a part of others. I mean, that's the coolest thing, right? Like, Greg, I'm a part of your legacy right now because of what we're doing. And we all play a role in both creating our own legacy and not hindering other people from creating theirs. And I think that's what where a lot of us miss the point. We're a lot of us are on this treadmill of life where uh, we wake up, and I've been on the treadmill. We wake up, we go to work, we do a good day's work, we make a cup of coffee, we have a couple casual conversations, come home, we sleep, may spend a little time with our family, may watch some Netflix, then we get up and we do it again. It's about 80 to 90% of everybody in the world's life. But there's a few that decide this isn't it. They kind of wake up one day and they say, is this life as I know it? Like when I leave this earth, is it going to be remembered of long commutes, binge watching Netflix, most of my time spent in a seated position or laying down? And I prescribe to the sense that that ain't it. And what I'm trying to do with my brand and every conversation I have is allowing people the opportunity to see I was there. I was on that treadmill. And somewhere along the way, somebody told me I didn't have to do that. And that was the biggest piece of advice that I've ever been given. And I took it, and it didn't happen overnight, right? It took 2 years of showing up and failing and figuring things out, but we're getting there. And I'm never going to be there because every time you reach the top, you're just at the bottom of a new tier, which is fine. That's so is life. But it's that constant pursuit of betterment that is the ultimate legacy that we could leave behind.
Yeah, and one of the first pieces of content that I put out on Twitter when I switched over into this kind of personal growth and self development space was from Lewis Howe's podcast, The School of Greatness. And I basically went through and I clipped this final question that he asks all of his guests on his podcast, which is, "What's your definition of greatness?" And he's talking to all of the most successful people in the world, and people had a lot of different answers around happiness and around just showing up and consistency. One of the answers came from the same answer came from two people that really stuck with me, and it kind of lends itself to what you're saying, which is was Kobe Bryant and Rob Dyrdek. Both had very similar answers, which is greatness is you become so good at something, you become so excellent, and you find that personal mastery that you inspire others, and like that your greatness leads to other people's greatness. And so, you kind of mentioned that in, how you show up and being able to impact people. And so, you also mentioned your personal brand and kind of how you're trying to do it through that. So I do want to kind of learn a little bit more about the business side of things for you. I know you run multiple six-figure Twitter accounts as part of your business. Can you tell me a little bit about like how you found Twitter when you first got into Twitter and the opportunity that you saw there?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a funny story. So I was sitting on my couch at a rental house. My wife was asleep. We had just had a baby, about a 6-month-old baby, and we had a 3-year-old at the time as well. And we could not afford to pay our bills. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay a car note. And so I started researching, couldn't figure anything out. So I did like everybody else does. I started scrolling my Twitter account, just taking a break, trying to escape from the world. And I saw this one guy, he posted, he said, "I make $1,000 a week on Twitter." And I said, most nights I would have said, man, this guy is a shyster. Like he's trying to dupe me. He's trying to lie to me. Like this is manipulative. But I bought this $29 Gumroad course, and it was like a Word document. It was like 19 pages long. I'll never forget it. It was like, set up your banner, set up your profile picture, find a couple affiliate links, start posting them like crazy. And I did all that. I did everything it told me to, and I failed miserably. I started creating an account that looked like some type of virus was going to be downloaded on your phone if you clicked on my profile, and I wasn't being myself. And I there was times like that first tweet you read, like I would be myself, but then I would be like, man, I got to make money. Then I would be myself, then I'd be like, man, I got to make money. And so then I met a couple guys that were way further ahead than me, and they told me like, hey man, you have an incredible story. You know what you're doing. Tell your story, be authentic, be yourself, and everything else will take care of itself. So about 5 months in, I started posting a thread every day, and that was back in January of last year. And what I found out is people wanted to hear what I was thinking about family and legacy and building that. And so I quickly went from 5,000 to 10,000 to 50,000. I grew 40,000 followers in the month of March last year, and it just kept compounding and compounding. Well, during that time, I got reached out. Dakota Robertson, Wrongs to Right on Twitter, reached out to me and said he needed help writing threads for his ghostwriting agency. And so he reached out to me. I said, yeah, man, how much? He said, I will pay you $50 a thread and you can write 10 threads a week. And I'm like, done. And so there it was. I had finally started making money on Twitter. I was making probably $1,000 to $2,000 a month working with him, and I was good. Like I was totally fine. I could do it for the rest of my life. About 3 months in, he said, "Man, you could do this yourself." I was like, "No, man, I don't need to do that. Like I'll just keep working for you." He's like, "No, man, you need to do it yourself." And so he coached me, and I got my first client by myself. Started working with them. One client became two clients became five. We now work with anywhere between 12 to 18 people at once with my ghostwriting agency. It's nuts, man. Went from making $2,000 a month to six figures, and it's just been a life changing experience. And so now I just want to honor that and continue to help the people that are coming up behind me, and then just be an inspiration. Like you said, Kobe Bryant was a huge inspiration for me growing up. And if anybody can look at me, just some random guy, I mean, from Lower Alabama, Graduated, played at a rural school. I wouldn't even consider myself a writer up until about a year ago. And now to be able to leave my 9 to 5, live life on the terms I want to live on, I mean, it's a dream come true, man. So I love it.
You know what's crazy is like you really seem like you are like where I want to be like in 2 or 3 years. So, I'm really grateful to get to talk to you and kind of pick your brain a little bit because I also never considered myself a writer until the last year or so when I started taking Twitter seriously. And I'm now in talks with people similar to Dakota, let's say, to come and write for their agencies. And then, maybe I might spin up something myself in the future. So, very, admirable and kind of synced up paths as far as I can tell on that front. I'd love to pull back the curtain a little bit on your business, and if you're willing to share, kind of tell us about what you're selling. How big is your team that you work with, and how do you guys make money?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pretty straightforward offer. So as far as team structure, there's me. I'm at the top. I have a head writer, 2 part-time writers under him. I have an executive assistant, and then another VA that helps with the content management and posting side. We run everything from a total do for you service. So we're not just ghostwriters. We really focus on the branding, content strategy, monetization strategy, and then helping people create that all inclusive brand that's not only going to build authority, give them opportunities to monetize, but also just establish them as a thought leader in their space. So the way we do that, pretty simple. We start out with 90 days of posting. We do 3 month sprints with our clients initially, and then we refocus and figure out what the next sprint's going to be. Because every 3 months, things pretty much change. Like it might be focused on growth and building that established brand the first 3 months. Then the next 3 months might be about offer creation, funneling traffic, building newsletter lists, generating leads. And we help them with everything from content to DM strategy to sales techniques to everything like that. So the good thing about working with me is you don't only get your brand built, you're working with a guy that built his entire business from Twitter. I don't have an email list that gives me any leads. I don't do anything outside of the Twitter atmosphere. So it's awesome to be able to work with clients and tell them that I can help them with the strategies that I use to build my business to build their business. And then we do coaching. So I do coaching with people one on one for 4 weeks, 8 weeks of coaching where I literally just meet with them every week, take them through their bio, take them through a content strategy session, teach them how to engage, teach them everything how they do. And then we're working on a done with you offer. And then also, we're working on an offer right now to work with marketing teams of agencies that are already established to help them with their content creation as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're really delivering a lot of different avenues, whether you're an individual or you have a team. If you want to grow your audience on Twitter, you're kind of the guy. And so, we talked a little bit about that opportunity you saw on Twitter to make money. Talk about it now, like how you view it, because I look at Twitter and I'm like, damn, especially since Elon took over, I just feel like there's this renewed sense of energy. And what's so unique about the platform is that there's so many ways that you can communicate and deliver ideas. You can do it in written format, like off the cuff. If I just have an idea and want to just tweet something, if I like write a tweet that I have in my drafts and I tinker with it, if I write a long form thread, if I write a long form tweet, if I post video, if I, I can chop this audio and put that up. And then of course there's Twitter Spaces where you can just go live and bring in people and talk with your community. I know you're also a big proponent of Twitter Spaces. That's actually where we met. So yeah, just talk about how you think about Twitter now and the future of social media in that respect.
Yeah, Twitter's really moving towards. Elon hasn't been shy about it. They actually just merged, and it wants to be the everything app, like WeChat in China, the X app. I mean, they're moving towards that, and it's going to be awesome. So I think we're very early on in the adoption of the platform, which affords us the opportunity to build an audience and really establish a foothold in this space, right? So I think the way people need to view it is it, and I say this to all my clients, it's a long game. I think people come into it and they're like, well, I want to monetize in 30 days, or I want to do this and this. And the people that make it a long time are the people that are consistently building their brand, building their reputation, providing insane value, and showing up every day for multiple years without expecting anything in return and getting everything in return because of that. And so when you're thinking about the long term game of it all, it's all about just showing up, being authentic, building a brand around a central message that you are passionate about that's never going to fizzle out. But then also, if it does, being able to pivot. And that's why I always tell people, they'll call me and they're like, hey, should I build a personal brand or a business brand? I was like, well, that business might be gone in 2 years, but your personal brand's not going anywhere. And so telling people to build that personal brand so they can pivot and move as their passions pivot and move is important to me. And just educating the space about that. Because I think I tweeted this out the other day. There's going to be a lot of technological advances over the next couple decades. Personal brand, being able to have a conversation like you and I are right now, that's becoming less and less apparent in our society. And so people being able to have that real human interaction, it's something that people crave. They want it so bad. And so be able to deliver that on a daily basis, access, that's what Twitter, like if I had to sum it up into one word, it's access. I mean, I've had the ability to talk to people that I would not dream of here in Alabama. You, Dickie Bush, Matt Gray, uh, Justin Welsh, like all these people, like that are so far ahead. They're where I want to be. But the thing is, like, the only reason I even know these guys that exist is because of Twitter, and I can literally DM them and they'll DM back. And that wouldn't happen without the app. And so that's what I think access is what people need to think about when they think about that platform.
As far as the personal brand goes, like I couldn't agree with you more. And with your personal brand in particular, like so your journey, it's like you got onto Twitter and your idea right away was like, I want to figure out a way to make money. And you did that on a smaller scale, and now you're doing that on a larger scale. And now, you've quit your 9 to 5, you're doing this full time. That's pretty recent. So congratulations on that. And is this the first time that you've shown your face on camera? Or like, I know you have like you changed your picture, your PFP, where like it's a little bit closer to what you look like. I'm not sure if it's actually you or what it is, but how do you feel about kind of stepping forward and taking more ownership of your brand, and and how has things changed the last few weeks for you like that?
Yeah, I'm definitely being a lot more bold. This will be the first time I show my face on a Twitter podcast, so that's cool. Still going by LB, so I'll keep that. It's good. That is me. It's an AI generated picture on Twitter, and I want to go with that anonymous feel, but with the personal touch, right? Like, I want to be a real person. I tweet like it's me anyway, but I actually had an inner dialogue of like, am I going to go away from anonymous? And I had I had built up this whole persona around LB, and I love it. People call me LB. It's basically like my second name now. And so I kind of am living the dream, being able to be this person on Twitter that has built up this personal brand that I've done for the last 2 years of Twitter growth, of excellence, of showing up, of being genuine, like a good person. Like that's something that I want people on Twitter to say about me. It's just a guy that cares about helping people out and doesn't have an ego. So it's been a journey, man. It's been cool. I would have never said yes to this with a 9 to 5 job. So being able to be out of that, I was talking to a guy earlier today. It's just really released my creative energy. I have said yes to a lot more things that I would normally say no to, been able to spend more time with my family. And I really just feel like my authentic self, probably for the first time in a long time. So it's been great.
You mentioned your family. You have 2 daughters, I believe. Is that right?
That's right.
How has being a parent impacted the way that you think about your legacy?
Oh man, it's a game changer. I think it really solidifies that you have. I think before you have children, there's a lot more room for error, right? Because your decisions, your choices, your actions, they only impact you. And then when you get married, they start impacting you and your wife, which is another story. And then when you have children, you realize, man, these people are watching me. They're watching every move I make, every word I say, how I treat people. I had somebody tell me one time, and I think it's so true, that kids aren't born with hate. They're born full of joy and hope and love, and they learn hate. And I'll never forget when that guy said that to me. And I don't want my kids to learn hate from me. I want them to learn how to combat hate. And so teaching them how to be positive, teaching them hard work, teaching them what showing up looks like, even this journey, man, like I'm the first guy in my family to do something like this. Not work a 9 to 5 job, I might as well be practicing witchcraft and wizardry on a daily basis. And but I love it, and people are starting to support it. And I can tell that my kids are already seeing, like, hey, this is okay. Like, it's okay to not do this. And they're 4 and 2. And so to think about the longevity of this and the legacy I'm be leaving, just for on the concept of work and presence and being around family, is already enough to fuel me for 100 lifetimes. And so I love being able to, it really is just an extra focus on an extra driver. And I think it's the ultimate driver outside of our faith. I think my children and my wife are my ultimate driver, because I know that first of all, they're my number one support system. They got my back anytime I need it. But second of all, I just love them, man. I want to be the best version of myself because of them. And it's something I strive for every day.
Well, you're doing a great job, man, and keep showing up. You're doing some really great things, and you're reaching a lot of people. I want everybody to make sure you're following LB at legacybuilder __ on Twitter. Do you want to share anything else with people, just a lasting message, or also, where they can find you and anything you want to point them to as far as your business goes, things like that?
You know what? I don't have to sell anything. I feel good. I feel like the people that want to come will come. I will just say, thank you, Greg. I mean, this has been just afforded this opportunity has been amazing. My DMs are open to people that need help. I want to be a person that's approachable on Twitter. And finally, just don't underestimate the impact that you have on the world around you. I think we vastly overestimate the time we have left and underestimate the impact that we can make in the time that we have left. And so make a daily decision to make an impact. And that stuff adds up. I mean, rent's due every day. And if you're giving it out, people are going to take it, and it's going to multiply. It's just the name of the game.
LB, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The bigger it gets, the bigger the guests, which means more valuable conversations for you. Also, make sure to check out the Pointing Up email list in the description to get early access to new episodes, plus exclusive answers to questions I ask the guests that don't make it into the show. See you soon.